And with that, I will call to order the Parks and Environment meeting. And Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Martin.
Aye. Here. Sorry.
Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Navarro.
Present.
Alderwoman Rice.
Present.
Alderman Todd.
Present.
Chairman Cone. 4 present, you have quorum.
Thank you. And we do have minutes before us from February 2nd, 2021. And if everyone has had a chance to review those, I will ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
And is there a second for that motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Thank you, Alderman from the 18th. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on our motion to approve the minutes.
Alderwoman Todd.
Sharita, we're not able to hear you. It appears you are frozen. I don't know if the rules allow for anyone else to call the roll. Sharita, are you still with us? If anyone else is not on mute, if you don't mind muting, that'll make it a little easier to hear.
Yes, Alderwoman Navarro.
Yes.
I'll clerk. This is Lamont Sparks. I'll clerk for Sharita until she get back.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Martin.
Aye.
Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Navarro.
Aye.
Alderwoman Rice.
Aye.
Alderman Todd.
Aye.
Chairman Cone. You have 4 aye votes.
Thank you. And I see that the chairman is now present with us. So with that, I will turn things over to Chairman Cone. And you are on mute.
I just unmuted myself. Thank you, Vice Chair Navarro. Can you just catch me up to speed real quick on where we are?
So far we have called the roll and approved the minutes, but it took us about 15 minutes to get everyone logged in. So
Great.
Right on time.
I appreciate everyone's patience as we get logged in here. A new way of doing business for the Board of Aldermen. For 250 years, we've never met virtually. And the last year, we've been expanding our horizon, meeting virtually with Zoom and whatnot. So thanks everyone for your patience this morning. With that, I believe the only item on the agenda for today's meeting is the Forest Park Advisory Board nominees from the mayor's office. I will allow Commissioner Hayes to introduce himself and kind of explain the process for these nominees. He and I had a conversation about it probably about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago now. And I'd just like to afford him the opportunity to explain to the rest of the committee how these nominees came before us and some of the background that he's taken on himself to get this slate of candidates. Commissioner Hayes.
Chairman, I appreciate the introduction and the summary of what we're here to do today. So the Forest Park, I'll spare, for sake of brevity, I'll spare a long summary on the board, but we're here today to talk about the Forest Park Advisory Board. It's an appointed board that has voting members, 22 voting members and 4 non-voting members, and the composition is spelled out in the ordinance, and I don't have the ordinance number handy, I have it here, but it's an ordinance from about 1996 when the master plan was developed and implemented for Forest Park. The advisory board is advisory, obviously, to the park director, and that is me, that is me at present. And they meet once a month, the third Thursday of the month. And where we are today is there are several, I believe upwards of 7 reappointments. I've spoken to all the individuals. Those are folks on the board now. And there are 3 new appointments for a total of 10. Full disclosure, and I believe, Chairman, I relayed this to you prior. One of the board members who will remain anonymous on this Zoom call called me maybe in September, October and said, "Hey, did you realize my term expired in June?" And I said, "Well, I can't blame everything on COVID. Let me check into this." So sure enough, there were several folks who their term expired in June. So that's when I called you, Chairman. Wanted to start the process in an expeditious manner as possible. And I've spoken to all the individuals and they are interested in being on the Forest Park Advisory Board. And I am definitely interested in having them return or join the board. The last comment I will make is that there are, like I said, there's non-voting members that don't live in the city, but the others are either ex officio, they're from a particular discipline, for instance, landscape architecture, amateur sports, et cetera, et cetera. So we're here today to hear from these individuals. They can answer any questions you have. I will answer any questions you have. We're looking for approval of these individuals for a very important board in the city of St. Louis, as all the boards are. They advise me, and that's kind of where we are, and I'm happy to address anything I may have been remiss on.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Hayes. I am actually trying to pull up the agenda with the various nominees here. It is lost in a flurry of emails at the moment.
Chairman, can I interject and make one more comment that I was remiss on? When this board was established by ordinance, it started out with 1 and 2 and 3-year terms to keep it simple. And that was to ensure that obviously all the appointments weren't coming to expiration at the same time. The appointments today, what we're here to do today, are 4-year appointments. So when it got to the point, what are we, 26 years later, any appointments to this board are 4-year appointments. But for the folks that I'm trying to get reappointed, so to speak, that appointment technically should start June of 20 when they expired. So I want to make that very clear.
And just so I'm clear, so this would still keep folks staggered on the board as well, because we do have several nominations before us today. So I just want to make sure that there's continuity in terms of board participation as well. We don't have the entire board coming up for renomination every 4 years.
That is a correct statement, Chairman. And coincidentally enough, with there are some others that aren't on this Zoom call and their terms expire in June. So it won't be too long in the future where we'll be doing this again. Actually, I just don't have the number that expire in June of 21. Great.
Okay.
I have it, but not in front of me at the moment.
Okay, so I have the agenda in front of me. The first item on the agenda is resolution number 96, which is the appointment of Mrs. Gwen Moore. I see that she's on the Zoom meeting.
Yes, I am.
So what I generally like to ask is for folks to, and I know we've got a lot of folks, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 10 folks that are being nominated to the board today. So what I would ask is that you keep the introductions pretty brief, so that we can try and get through this meeting as smoothly as possible. But because my colleagues for those of you that this might be your first time at the Board of Aldermen at a committee hearing, we'll run through the introductions, and then after each one, I will give my colleagues the opportunity to ask any questions that they may have of the respective nominees. Part of the process for that is that each one of you is on a separate resolution. So we don't have one joint resolution nominating all of you at the same time. So we have to consider each resolution separately as a matter of business before the board. Ms. Moore, if you would be able to take a minute and introduce yourself to the committee, and then I'll afford them, the committee members, an opportunity to ask any questions that they might have.
Okay, I can do that in a minute. My name is Gwen Moore. I'm a curator at the Missouri Historical Society, and of course, the History Museum is based in Forest Park. I work at the Library and Research Center doing research on African American history in St. Louis. Lifelong resident of St. Louis, Missouri. Currently live in the Penrose Park neighborhood that is in the 21st Ward. Is that brief enough, or should I say more?
No,
that was
Say
good.
more.
I'm familiar with your work and certainly appreciate your service to our city and also your work at that fine institution as well. I will take questions from the committee. Vice Chair Navarro. No? Okay.
No questions. Just thank you very much for volunteering for this position.
Thank you.
Alderwoman, actually, Madam Clerk, or Lamont, are you still acting as clerk? Oh, no, there's Sharita.
I'm good morning, Alderman.
Alderwoman Tyus asked to be excused for this
Okay.
committee hearing. If
Got
you
it.
could please mark her as excused, I'd appreciate it.
Will do.
Questions from Alderwoman Martin?
No questions, and thank you for coming, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Alderman Bosley? Alderwoman Rice?
No questions. Thank you so much for being here.
Great.
Thank you.
Alderman Todd?
I don't have any questions. Thank you so much for being here.
Great. With that, I'll entertain a motion on Resolution 96, the appointment of Ms. Gwen Moore to the Forest Park Advisory Board.
I move that we approve Resolution 96.
Second.
It was a motion by the Alderwoman from the 28th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 8th, that we approve Resolution number 96, the appointment of Ms. Gwen Moore to the Forest Park Advisory Board. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Previous role,
There's been a call for previous roll. Is there an objection to previous roll?
Oh, well, it looked like we had another member, but now they're gone again. So I think previous role works.
Okay. Hearing no objection to previous roll, Resolution number 96 passes out with a do pass recommendation. Item number 2 is Resolution number 97, the appointment of Mr. Alvin Willis to the Forest Park Advisory Board. Mr. Willis, if you would do us the kind favor of introducing yourself.
All right. I want to thank the committee for interviewing me this morning, and I also want to thank everyone that have been involved in my nomination. As you can see from the nomination and disclosure form, I have a background of working as an insurance claims adjuster, risk management, plus serving on a number of nonprofit and community organization board of directors. I am retired from AT&T at the present time, and I serve as president of the Lewis Place Improvement Association. I'm one of the 3 commissioners. As you know, Lewis Place is a nonprofit homeowners association for the oldest African-American private street in the city of St. Louis. I'm interested in serving on the board and certainly want to provide citizen input into the implementation of the Forest Park Master Plan. I have lived in the city of St. Louis, Greaterville, and Lewis Place neighborhoods all of my adult life. As a member of the board, I will work closely with everyone, and I want to contribute to restoring, preserving, and enhancing Forest Park. I look forward to serving as one of the 22 voting members of the Forest Park Advisory Board. And I respectfully ask that the Board of Parks and Environment Matters Committee vote to confirm my appointment. Thank you.
Willis, I will entertain questions from the committee. Vice Chair Navarro.
No questions. Just again, thank you for all of your years of service and for offering your time in this role as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Martin. Alderwoman Rice.
No questions, but again, thank you so much for your time and your service and for being here this morning.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Alderman Bosley has joined. Alderman Bosley, do you have any questions of Mr. Willis?
I'm sorry, I'm having some signal difficulties, but I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you for your service.
Alderman Todd.
First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Willis for serving. However, Mr. Willis is from the 18th Ward. He's been active in many leadership capacities, as well as he has shown interest in parks, and he works well with other types of people. I recommend Mr. Willis without reservation, since I know him and he's lived in the 18th Ward. And so I would like to thank Mr. Willis for all the work he has done in the past, volunteer work he has done in the past within the 18th Ward, as well as working with me on several projects. So again, thank you, Mr. Willis, for asking to spend your time helping our wonderful Forest Park.
Thank you, Alderman.
I see that Alderwoman Ingracia is also on the line. I know she's not a member of the committee, but I do try and give the opportunity to non-committee members to ask any questions.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't have any questions.
Okay, wonderful. Alderman Todd, would you like to do the honors of making the motion to nominate Mr. Willis?
Yes, I would love to. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to make a motion that Mr. Al Willis be nominated to serve on our wonderful Forest Park as
Advisory board.
On the advisory board.
Thank you, Alderman. Is there a second?
Second.
Great. There's been a motion from the Alderman from the 18th and it's seconded by the Alderman from the 28th that we pass out resolution number 97, the appointment of Mr. Alvin Willis to the Forest Park Advisory Board with a due pass recommendation. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Martin.
Aye.
Alderman Bosley.
Aye.
Alderwoman Navarro.
Aye.
Alderwoman Rice.
Aye.
Alderman Todd.
Aye.
Chairman Cone.
Aye.
6 aye votes.
Wonderful. Thank you. With that, we pass that out to the full board for their consideration. And thank you, Mr. Willis, for your participation in this morning's call and also your service on the advisory board as well. Item number three is resolution number 98. It's the appointment of Miss Joanne Williams to the Forest Park Advisory Board. There she is, Miss Williams. How are you? It's been a long time.
I'm good. I'm good, Mr. Chair. How are you been doing this year?
Oh, wonderful. I will give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to the rest of the committee.
Well, thank you for that. Good morning to you, Mr. Chair, and the honorable committee members, and thank you so much for inviting me. I've been a public employee representative, and I've had the honor and privilege of representing those employees at the Parks Division for probably the last 40 years in my capacity as a business agent for both the American Federation of State and County Municipal Employees, as well as the Partners District Council. I've had the privilege and honor of representing public sector employees, and I retired from that position in December in 2013. So my interest in this position is kind of selfish. I live in the 21st Ward, a lifelong city employee, a resident also of Penrose, and I've always been one of those people who enjoys the green space and the beautification of our city. I think we have some of the most beautiful parks in the country. So if you have any questions of me, I won't bore you with any more background information, but it is a privilege to serve, and I look forward to doing so.
Thank you. I don't have any questions myself, but it is always a joy to see you. I feel like I haven't seen you in forever, so it's great to just hear your voice and see your face. Questions from the committee, Alderwoman Navarro.
Great, thank you. Again, no questions, but I definitely appreciate the perspective that you will be bringing to this board, Joanne. So thank you very much for volunteering your time.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Martin. No questions. Alderman Bosley.
No, sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, I thought I saw you lipping. No questions.
Sorry. Oh, well, you're a pretty good lip reader. No questions. I just want to say it's good to see you and always a pleasure working with you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Alderwoman.
Alderman Bosley.
I also have no questions. Thank you again for your service.
Thank you, Alderman.
Alderwoman Martin, I think that that's actually a talent I picked up watching too many drag shows, but
We all come to the board with different talents.
we certainly do. Alderwoman Rice.
I don't have any questions, and I was trying to think of something fun to say. It's just really good to see you, Joanne, and thank you for all of your service and for agreeing to serve on this board too.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Alderman Todd.
I don't have anything to say, but I would just like to thank you for volunteering to serve on our wonderful Forest Park board.
Thank you, Alderman.
Alderwoman Boyd, I see that you've joined. Do you have any questions? I know you're not a member of the committee, but.
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no questions. Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Alderwoman.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion on resolution number 98, the appointment of Ms. Joanne Williams to the Forest Park Advisory Board.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned by the Alderwoman from the 8th Ward, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 28th Ward, that we pass out resolution number 98 with a do pass recommendation.
Previous roll.
There's been a call for previous roll. Is there an objection to previous roll? Hearing and seeing none, resolution number 98 passes out with a do pass recommendation. Thank you, Ms. Williams. It's always great to see you.
Same here, Alderman. Thank you so much.
With that, we'll take up item number 4, resolution number 99. It's the appointment of Ms. Denise Kellman to the Forest Park Advisory Board. Is Ms. Kellman? She is. There she is. Would you like to take a moment to introduce yourself to the committee?
Yes, thank you. Again, my name is Denise Coleman. I'm a longtime city resident. I moved to the city in the early 80s, right after I graduated from college. I've always felt like the parks make the city, and that Forest Park is at the top of the pyramid. I love the place. I've been on the Forest Park Advisory Board for about 20 years. Before that, I was on the city's Heritage and Urban Design Commission for a couple of years. I'm a civil engineer. I own a small consulting firm. My chair on the board is urban design, and I feel like I bring a lot of that type of perspective to the advisory board. I'm been a director of the Engineers Club of St. Louis. I'm currently the Education Committee chair there. I'm kind of a compulsive volunteer, and I'm not going to list all the things that I'm a member of out there. Any questions? I'd be happy to address.
Wonderful. We'll take any questions from the alderwoman present. Vice Chair Navarro.
Thank you. And thank you, Denise. It's been a pleasure serving with you. I am lucky enough that I get to attend, that I'm also a member of the advisory board in my role as the 28th Ward Alderwoman. And so I do attend all of those meetings, and it's been a pleasure working with you. I do have a question, and maybe this is for Director Hayes, because I think we're moving into the reappointments now for the agenda. And there are certain seats I know on the board that are designated for particular characteristics, whether it's there's a recreation, I think there's an environmental organization. So I don't know if you want to describe, I'm not sure which folks are filling which roles at this point, but it might be helpful to walk through that.
Absolutely, and I can do them case by case, Alderwoman Navarro. Ms. Kalman is the urban design discipline as specified in the ordinance. So she would continue, if she is considered for approval and in fact subsequently approved, she would continue in her role as the urban design rep specifically listed in the ordinance.
Great, thank you. And I don't have any questions. Thank you, Denise, for all of your service and your willingness to continue serving.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
And thank you, Vice Chair. I think that that's an excellent call out. And Actually, before we kind of dive into the other members, Commissioner Hayes, can you just walk through, each of the nominees and who's being nominated with respect to each discipline?
Absolutely, Chairman. So referring to my list, of course. So besides Ms. Kalman, we have Emily Andrews, ordinance specified as the environmental representative on the board. Jacob Banton, he replaced Art Perry, who resigned from the board. Art was on there, Mr. Perry was on there for years. He would be an at-large member. Going down the list, bear with me one moment. Then we get to, bear with me. Oh, it's at the bottom of my list. So then there are four non-voting members who are outside the city of St. Louis in terms of residency. That's spelled out in the ordinance. Those are Anthony Arrington, Gary Crouch, Ann Lieberman, and Mae Brown Ray. I hope I'm not missing anyone.
Those are four that I have before me on the agenda as well.
So I think that, Chairman, I think that covers the individuals, including the ones who have already spoken to the committee.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'll continue with questions from the committee. Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Bosley.
No questions.
Alderwoman Rice.
No questions. Thank you so much for your service.
Alderman Todd.
No question. Thank you very much for your service.
Great. With that, I'll entertain a motion to pass out resolution number 99 with a due pass recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Previous roll.
Okay, it's been motioned by the Alderwoman from the 8th Ward. I believe that was a second from the Alderwoman from the 28th Ward. There's been a call for previous roll. No objection to previous roll. Resolution number 99 passes out with a due pass recommendation to the full board. Thank you, Mrs. Kalman. It's a delight to have you down here this morning.
Thank you.
Resolution number 100, which is the appointment of Mrs. Emily Andrews to the Forest Park Advisory Board. We did just hear a little bit about that from Commissioner Hayes. Is she here? Yes, she is. Ms. Andrews, if you'd like to take a moment to introduce yourself to the committee.
Great. Thank you all for having me. It's an honor to be reappointed to this board. Of course, if you pass the resolution. My name is Emily Andrews. I'm the executive director of the U.S. Green Building Council, Missouri Gateway chapter. And I've been in this role for about 15 years as with the U.S. Green Building Council. I think this is potentially my third appointment to the Forest Park Advisory Board. I served as the vice chair and then the chair several years back, and really appreciate the opportunity to advocate for environmental issues when it comes to the park, which I think, of course, everything going on there is already addressing environmental issues in a great way, but it's just good to be keeping them top of mind. And then I also am a lifelong city resident. I currently live in Princeton Heights, and I also serve on the Clean Energy Development Board, which is the board that oversees the PACE program, which is another city board with mayoral appointments. So glad to be here.
Great, thank you. Have to have a conversation about PACE a whole other time. But we will go ahead and entertain questions or comments from the committee. Vice Chair Navarro.
Thank you. I just want to say what an asset Emily is, and Denise too. Both of them have been real assets to the board, and it's been a real pleasure working with you. Emily, I appreciate everything that you bring, and very much support the reappointment. No questions.
Great. Alderwoman Martin.
No questions, thank you.
Of course, Alderman Bosley.
No questions, thank you. And I appreciate your service. And the other person that we just appointed, my apologies. I appreciate everybody's service to our communities.
Thank you. Alderwoman Rice.
I don't have any questions, but again, thank you so much for all of your service, Emily.
Alderman Todd.
I don't have any questions, but thank you very much for the for your services.
Great. So with that, I will entertain a motion on resolution number 100, the appointment of Mrs. Emily Andrews to the Forest Park Advisory Board with a due pass recommendation out to the board.
So moved.
Second.
Previous roll.
It's been motioned by the Alderwoman from the 28th Ward, seconded by the Alderman from the 3rd Ward, that we pass resolution number 100 out with a due pass recommendation. There's been a call for previous roll. Is there any objection to previous roll? Seeing and hearing no objection to previous roll, resolution number 100 passes out with a due pass recommendation. Thank you, Ms. Sanders. Appreciate your time here this morning. I do want, since we're about halfway through the resolutions, I probably should have stated this at the beginning. Once we've had the opportunity to introduce you to the committee and have any questions from the committee asked, you are more than welcome to drop off the call. You do not need to participate for the remainder of it. We do very much appreciate you coming before the board this morning. I do want to just explain part of the reason that we invited you all here this morning is that you know, this is a very important board for the city of St. Louis, and we do, as a board of aldermen, want to ensure that we're vetting any appointments to the board to ensure, you know, not only their competency, but also that they represent the interests of the citizens of the city as a whole, and certainly, you know, want to also have the opportunity to meet those who are serving our fair city. And so very, very much appreciate all of you taking the time out of your very busy schedules to be before us this morning. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. So if you did have the opportunity to speak, you are more than welcome to drop off. But of course, you are also welcome to stay and meet the other members of the advisory board that are before us this morning. And you know, at the end, if you do have any questions about process or what have you, you're welcome to stay on the line, and I'm happy to answer those for you too. There is a little bit of a quirk to this particular meeting in that the committee is meeting during a recess of the Board of Aldermen. So this past Friday was our last meeting and legislative session before we resume. So it is possible that the appointments won't come before the full board member or full board until our meeting in April. So at that point in time, you would be before the entire board and voted on at that point in time. However, we do have a bunch of COVID related funding and possible legislation that's coming before the board. So we may have special meetings where the full board is called back into session. And so it's likely that it might happen earlier than that April date. But I do want to just set expectations with everyone in terms of the timeline that we're looking at right now. So with that, I will move forward with our regular order of business, item number 6, resolution number 101, the appointment of Mr. Jacob Banton to the Forest Park Advisory Board.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chairman Cohn, and thank you to all the honorable committee members for considering me this morning. My name is Jake Banton. I work as an architect here in the city. I live in the 26th Ward in the West End neighborhood, and was first appointed to the board in August of 2019, I believe, finishing out a term, as Director Hayes said. So a short time I've been able to serve on the Forest Park Advisory Board. It's been a great experience so far. I feel like I'm just getting started, would love to continue to serve. I'm also fortunate to serve on the city's planning commission with Chairman Cohn on that, and love being involved in the city, love the city of St. Louis, love Forest Park. I'm actually getting married in Forest Park this summer, so I'm looking forward to that. And would be honored for to serve again on the advisory board, and happy to answer any questions.
I'm looking forward to the invitation to your wedding. Jake, Mr. Banton and I actually have served together on the Planning Commission for a number of years now as well. So just curious, how many commissions are you on and boards for the city?
These are the only two I serve on at the moment.
Thank you very much for your service. It's very much appreciated. I'll entertain questions from the committee. Vice Chair Navarro.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Banton, for continuing to serve. Again, it's been a pleasure serving with you, and you bring a lot to the board. I do just want to clarify, you're serving as a member at large from the 26th ward, is that correct?
That's correct, and I have spoken with Alderwoman Clark Hubbard and have her support for this, and even though she wasn't able to attend this morning.
Great, thank you very much, and I have no further questions.
Thank you, Alderwoman Martin.
No questions. I know, Mr. Banton, you have a passion for public service, and I really appreciate that. I can also verify that Alderman Cone makes a wonderful wedding guest. Thank you.
Thank you for not releasing the photos from your own wedding, Alderwoman Martin. Appreciate that. Alderman Bosley.
Release the photos. No, I don't have any questions. Once again, appreciate your service.
Alderwoman Rice.
All right. Congratulations on the upcoming wedding, and thank you so much for your service and for helping to make St. Louis a beautiful place.
Alderman Todd.
I don't have any questions, but thank you for serving on the advisory board.
Alderwoman Boyd.
No questions. Thank you. Just interesting listening.
Thank you, Alderwoman. I try and keep it lively and hopefully quick, not to take up too much time this morning on everyone's behalf. Resolution number 101, I'll entertain a motion to pass out the resolution to the full board.
So moved.
Second.
Previous roll.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 28th Ward, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 8th Ward, that we pass out resolution number 101, the appointment of Mr. Jake Banton to the Forest Park Advisory Board with a due pass recommendation. There's been a call for previous roll. Is there any objection to previous roll? Seeing and hearing none, resolution number 101 passes out with a due pass recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Banton.
Thank you very much.
Item number 7 on the agenda, resolution number 102, the appointment of Ms. Ann Lieberman to the Forest Park Advisory Board. Is Ms. Lieberman here this morning? I don't know if I see her.
Chairman, if I may, I saw a note or an email within the last week where Ann said she would only be able to call in. I think that was an email to Barbara Carl, but I haven't heard anything since, so I don't see her on the call either.
Okay. So if there's no questions, does anyone have any concerns from the committee with respect to Ms. Lieberman? I don't hear any. Do people feel comfortable proceeding with the nomination of Ms. Lieberman?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I mean, I'm just happy to say, as someone who sits on the board regularly, I mean, I think that she's been another asset to the board, and so just want to offer that up. I don't have any problems nominating or approving her reappointment this morning.
Great. Okay, so with that, then I will entertain a motion to pass out resolution number 102, the appointment of Ms. Ann Lieberman to the Forest Park Advisory Board.
So moved.
Second.
Previous roll.
Been moved by the Alderman from the 28th Ward, seconded by the Alderman from the 8th Ward, that we pass out resolution number 102 with a due pass recommendation. There's been a call for previous roll. Is there an objection to previous roll? Hearing no objection to previous roll, resolution number 102 passes out with a due pass recommendation. We'll take up resolution number 103, the appointment of Mr. Anthony Arrington to the Forest Park Advisory Board. And I see that Mr. Arrington is here. Would you care to provide an introduction?
Good morning. My name is Anthony Arrington. I'm the Chief Operations Officer at Dismiss House of St. Louis. I've been at Dismiss for almost 20 years now. I was a voting member of the advisory board since 2006 until I moved out of the city a few years ago, and I've been a non-voting at-large member since then. I've really enjoyed my time on the board. It's interesting to see the inner workings of the board and to see how things are going in Forest Park, and that allows me to talk about Forest Park and relay messages and plans to people outside of the St. Louis area, maybe people that don't have a formal opinion about St. Louis or Forest Park, and I'm able to tell them more about the area, and I think that translates fairly well. Unfortunately, I'm head of our COVID response team at work. I'm chairman of our community relations board, and I really enjoy our time, the time I've spent on the board, and I hope to continue.
Okay, thank you for that. I will take questions from the committee. Alder Vice Chair Navarro.
Great, thank you. I have no questions. Just thank you very much for your service, Mr. Arrington. Appreciate it very much.
Okay, I do have a note from Alderwoman Tyus that she opposes the appointment of Mr. Arrington. She is not here today, so I'm certain that that would mean that there would be a litany of questions for you, Mr. Arrington. So I would probably appreciate it if you could touch base with the Alderwoman from the First Ward to have any questions asked and answered. But with that, she is not present today. So we'll continue to move forward with questions. Alderwoman Martin. No questions from Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Bosley.
Do we know why there is
I don't have that information. She just sent me a message yesterday saying that unfortunately she was not going to be able to make the Parks Committee, and that she would like information on each person, which of course has been supplied by the mayor's office in our Google Drive, so everyone has access to the applications and resumes from each of the members that are nominations or nominees that are before us this morning. Which I relayed back to her, and then she just expressed her opposition. So that's the extent of my knowledge.
And to your knowledge, was she opposed to any other members at all that were being appointed?
No, but knowing the Alderwoman from the First Ward, I would presume that it has something to do with Dismas House. I believe Dismas House is located in the First Ward, if I'm not mistaken. But that's a presumption on my part, just from 10 years of working with her. So, but other than that, I don't have any particular specifics or insight.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Alderman or Alderwoman Rice.
Thank you. I guess I share a little bit of pause with the alderman from the third ward. If the alderwoman from the first is opposed to a nominee in her own ward, that usually speaks kind of strongly for mayoral appointments. I guess I'm just asking if I read the resume correctly. Mr. Arrington, you have been a member of the Forest Park Advisory Board since 2006. Is that right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And in your capacity, are you an at-large? Are you a voting member, a non-voting member? I'm sorry, pulling up two screens at the same time here.
Sure. No, I was a at-large member in voting while I lived in the city, and when I left, I'm now a non-voting member.
Okay, so that's right. All right, that's what confused me, is that the business is in the First Ward, but you now reside in the county.
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
All right, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Todd.
Mr. Arrington, do you live in the First Ward?
No, sir.
Do you have a business in the First Ward?
I work at Dismas House of St. Louis, which is in the First Ward.
Do you know why the alderwoman woman from the First Ward would oppose your nomination?
No, sir. But I would assume it's probably has something to do with Dismas House of St. Louis.
Why do you think business house is opposed by you. What is the issue with business house? I don't know.
I don't know. I've had what brief relations I've had with Alderwoman Tyus has been cordial. I think Dismas House is an asset to the First Ward. I think it's an asset to the city. And I think I've been an active and willing participant of the advisory board for many years.
Well, okay. Thank you for your answering the questions.
Thank you, sir.
So just to clarify, Mr. Arrington is an at-large member. He's an at-large member. Because he lives in the county, and he will be a non-voting member of the advisory board. He previously served in a voting capacity because he was a resident in the city of St. Louis when he was nominated initially. So the nomination before us is for respect of him as a county resident being nominated as a at-large member that's a non-voting member of the advisory board. Any additional questions? Clarification?
I do. Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Bosley.
Yes, sir. Is there any way, and I guess just to, I don't want this to be a situation where, you know, we may vote no or thing, you know, is there any way we can maybe not vote on this one in particular until Alderwoman Tyus is there? So we can, you know, even though this isn't that large member, we definitely appreciate all the work and the, you know, the time that has been put into your volunteer work. That is very appreciated. But, you know, when there are folks, and it's only a few of us here that are on this committee, who do have some type of opposition, you know, even though Alderwoman Tyus isn't here to express her concerns, you know, this was kind of a quick meeting. We all want privy to it. Of course, this is our job. We got to, you know, take care of what we got to take care of. But just for the sake of ensuring that there is, I think, some balance in the conversation, is there any way we can maybe hold this particular resolution maybe into another day or so after we find out? And I don't want to waste everybody's time and have everybody coming back from meeting after meeting. So that's, of course, up to the committee. I just wanted to suggest something if we all are feeling a little uneasy without having that real conversation, because there's not a real concrete reason right now on the table of why there would be opposition. That's just kind of speculation.
I'm certainly open to entertaining that, Alderman. I do have concerns because, and I'll have to defer to the clerk. I had conversations this morning about not being able to schedule committee hearings during the recess due to capacity of the staff. So, Madam Clerk, if you're able to elaborate on that. It's the first time in 12 years that I've heard anything remotely like that, where the chair of the committee wouldn't be able to call a hearing because it's specifically spelled out in our rules that chairs call meetings. So, I mean, if you have any insight, that would be helpful for this particular discussion.
Of course. So Chairman Cohn, I did receive an email from the clerk stating that if the chair would like a meeting, they would have to, instead of coming to the clerk, they will have to request it from the president's office.
So, which is in direct conflict with our rules, because our rules specifically state that the chairs call meetings, and it has no reference to the president of the Board of Aldermen with respect to chairs calling meetings. So I'm not sure how that's within the boundaries of our rules.
Right. And I do believe we are having a meeting scheduled this week for a different committee. So my understanding, like I said, from what I understood from the email, right? So I can call and ask them as far as setting up a committee hearing if that's what do.
Could you follow up with the clerk, please? Because we do have 2 other appointments on the agenda. So if you're able to have that conversation with him while we have discussions around these other 2, I I don't want to potentially put someone off and then not be able to schedule a committee hearing.
Okay, give me just.
Understand that.
So I'll allow the clerk or Madam Clerk to have conversations around that. Mr. Arrington, thank you. And we're going to bump you to the end of our agenda in terms of approving the resolution or deciding whether or not to reschedule a committee hearing in order to allow the alderwoman from the first ward to participate in that. But hopefully we will have clarification on that for you by the end of our committee hearing this morning. So thank you again. Alderwoman Navarro, Vice Chair, you have your hand raised.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say, I mean, one, in addition to the issue of staff capacity, I do feel like this meeting was noticed up in plenty of time, and understand the alderwoman from the first has some questions or concerns, and there's been plenty of time to reach out to the director or to you or to any of us. And so I just feel that we might be setting a precedent here that if someone who's not able to attend is able to then, you know, reschedule it, we're just having more and more hearings. Like if what we're saying is we're not going to have a hearing until everyone can be, all of the members can be in attendance, that's one thing. But if we're going to go ahead and schedule it, I feel that we owe it to the people who show up to, you know, to call a vote. So that's, I mean, I understand you have discretion to decide how you want to handle this, but I would just say the other side of that is there's been plenty of notice, and, you know, we have people here, we have a quorum, and we have rules to vote on these matters. Now, if there are concerns beyond that that we think we need to delve into, you know, obviously that's up to you. But I would just advocate that we move forward.
Okay. I appreciate that perspective. I'm gonna still await some clarification from the clerk here, but in the interim, we'll proceed with item number 9, resolution number 104, the appointment of Mr. Gary Croce to the Forest Park Advisory Board. Mr. Croce, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
You did a fine job. Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here. I've enjoyed this whole exercise this morning. I moved here 41 years ago. I live a mile and a half from Forest Park in the middle of Clayton. I'm an athlete. I started running in Forest Park the first week I came here, and I run or ridden my bicycle in Forest Park nearly every day for the last 41 years. Very committed. I love the park beautifully. And it wasn't as nice a place when I came here at the end of 1979 as it is today. I was part of the group that founded Forest Park Forever in 1985 and 86. I was on the original board. I became the president of the organization in 1995, and I was the person that signed the public-private partnership agreement along with Mayor Clarence Harmon in 1996. And I've continued to serve on the board as either an ongoing director or emeritus director up to this day. I was nominated to be on the Forest Park Advisory Board, I believe in 2008 by Mayor Slay. And I've continued to serve. I was the president of the board, I think in 1918 and 1919, 2018 and 19, excuse me, if I'm saying that correctly. And it's been a privilege to be among these people and serve the park over all this period of time.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Kirsch. We'll take questions from the committee. Vice Chair Navarro.
No questions. Mr. Croce has been, you know, a wonderful asset to the board again, and appreciate his service. Thank you.
Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Bosley.
No questions. Once again, appreciate your service. Thank you, sir.
Alderwoman Rice.
No questions. Thank you so much for your service.
Alderman Todd. You're on mute, Alderman.
No questions, but thank you so much for serving, volunteering your service for our wonderful park.
Thank you, Alderman. With that, I don't have any questions. Mr. Croce, I would also like to extend my deep appreciation to you for volunteering your time with this wonderful asset in our city. With that, I will entertain a motion on resolution number 104, preferably with a do pass recommendation out to the full board.
I move we pass resolution 104 out with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
It's been motioned by
Previous
the
roll.
Alderman from the 3rd Ward, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 28th Ward, that we pass out resolution number 104 with the due pass recommendation. There's been a call for previous roll. Is there any objection to previous roll? Hearing and seeing none, resolution number 104 passes out with a due pass recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Croce.
Thank you all, much appreciated.
And then we have also before us resolution number 105, the appointment of Mrs. May Brown Ray to the Forest Park Advisory Board.
I'm here.
Oh, there she is. Thank you so much for your patience this morning. I know we've had a very long list of agenda items today, so appreciate you hanging on there with us. If you would do us the favor of introducing yourself, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm May Brown Ray, and I wanted to thank you for considering my nomination as a non-voting member to the Forest Park Advisory Board. I was told that I should put together a written 3-minute presentation, but in light of what's going on today, I don't think I will do that. But I would like to share a few thoughts with you just about my love for Forest Park and my involvement. I came to love Forest Park when I was very young, whether it was visiting the pandas at the zoo or skating at Steinberg or playing tennis at Dwight Davis. It was always for me a place of much adventure and joy. My very first job was in Forest Park as manager and buyer of the St. Louis Zoo gift shop. Later, my ties to Forest Park continued as I was the first secretary of the Flora Conservancy and on the committee of the Forest Park Kite Festival and the St. Louis Art Museum Wine Festival. When I was asked to be on the Forest Park Advisory Board, I was unaware until I had the opportunity to read the Forest Park Master Plan, how important this board was in maintaining the integrity of the park. It has been the knowledgeable and thoughtful people on the board that have made this so rewarding. As each project is presented, small or large, the working relationship of the board and the proposer of the project seems always to create a significantly better result. It is always with respect that ideas are presented, questions, and good solutions found. It is my hope to continue to be part of this special board, and I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Ray. Appreciate it. Sorry for the brevity. Appreciate you putting together a 3-minute presentation. Certainly.
That's fine. It's okay. It was much easier to give that one than the 3-minute one, so it was fine.
Wonderful. I would certainly afford you the 3 minutes after waiting.
No. I think everybody, I'm fine.
All
But
right.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
And we'll go ahead and take any questions at this point in time. Vice Chair Navarro.
Thank you very much for your contributions, May, and your willingness to serve in this capacity. So thank you. That's all. No questions.
Thank you.
Alderman Bosley.
No questions. Once again, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Rice.
No questions. Thank you so much for your service.
Alderman Todd.
No questions. Thank you so much for your services.
Great. There is another Alderwoman. She's not a member of the committee, but she is on the line. Alderwoman D. Evans. Do you have any questions?
No questions, and thank you for your services.
My pleasure.
Great. So with that, I also have no questions, but definitely appreciate you taking the time this morning to join us. And certainly your time and commitment to the Forest Park Advisory Board is very much appreciated. I will entertain a motion to do pass resolution 105 out of committee.
I move we pass. I'm sorry. So move. Is that what we done?
Thank you.
Either one works. There's been a motion that we do pass resolution number 105. Is there a second?
Second.
Previous roll.
Great. We're flipping up roles here. It's been motioned by the Alderman from the 3rd Ward, seconded by the Alderman from the 18th Ward that we do pass resolution number 105 out with a do pass recommendation. There's been a call for previous roll. Is there an objection to previous roll? Seeing and hearing none, resolution number 105 passes out of committee with a do pass recommendation. Thank you, Ms. Ray.
Thank you.
So with that, Madam Clerk, if you're able to provide any insight or clarification with respect to having another committee hearing, I'd appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, Chairman Combs. So I spoke with Clerk Kennedy, and he did say if you would like to have a hearing, then from what he said, the president office just wanted to give the staff a break. That's all. So with that being said, if you choose to have a meeting, then we're here for it.
Okay. Not to be so bold, but I'm going, do you need a break? Do I need to, I'm not trying to be flippant here. I want to be sensitive to the request as well. So I don't want to schedule things if you all already have things that you need to take care of as well.
Sharita does have a birthday this week too. I'm just going to mention.
Okay.
Happy
I'm
birthday.
not saying that should sway anyone, but I just want to, give her a little extra there.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like if you all would choose whatever works for the committee,
Okay.
Let the clerk know where, we'll schedule it.
I mean, I am a little bit of the mindset. We did have this, scheduled about a week and a half in advance. So I would prefer not to, reconvene everyone for another, half hour or hour meeting. We do have, a quorum before us. I did express the concerns of the alderwoman from the first ward. She did not ask me to hold the nomination. She just expressed that she had concerns. She is pretty forward, so I would imagine that if she did want me to hold it, she would have asked me to do so. So I don't feel the necessity to hold it because she specifically didn't ask me to do so. She just said that she had concerns with respect to Mr. Arrington. So are people comfortable proceeding? Just pulse check.
Mr. Chairman, I would also just say, because we did go on break last week, people may have other plans, and I don't know if we did schedule something. We barely got a quorum together this morning, so I just would also have a concern that if you push this off, we might not be able to get everyone together. So I don't have any concerns bringing this up for a vote today.
Okay. So does anyone have any further questions of Mr. Arrington? Let me start there. Vice Chair Navarro.
No questions, thank you.
Alderwoman Martin.
No questions, thank you.
Alderman Bosley.
No questions. Just a comment.
Sure.
So I was just kind of looking at it from the perspective of us not having the quorum, and if one of us did vote no, then that could put us in a, put this gentleman also at a weird position also. So it was just being mindful of everybody and everything.
Sure.
I
appreciate that. I know it's not always comfortable, but I mean, the alderwoman from the first ward is usually pretty forward. So I would imagine that if she did want us to hold it, she would have specifically said as much. She did not make that request. She just expressed that she was opposed, so, which I was intentional about mentioning that on today's hearing as well to make sure that that was known. But certainly appreciate your concerns around the quorum as well. Alderman Todd.
I don't have any questions. I think we should move forward with the vote.
Okay, thank you, Alderman. And Alderwoman Evans.
No questions.
Okay. Not to put you on the spot, Alderwoman Evans, I do try and allow non-committee members who are members of the board the opportunity to ask any questions that they have as well. So appreciate that. Okay, so with that, I will entertain a motion to pass out the resolution for Mr. Arrington. It's resolution number 103 with a due pass recommendation.
So moved.
Been moved by the alderwoman from the 28th ward. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been seconded by the Alderman from the 8th Ward that we pass resolution number 103 out with a do pass recommendation. There's a call for previous roll. Is there an objection to previous roll? Hearing no objection, the resolution passes out with a do pass recommendation. Thank you for your time this morning, Mr. Arrington. And for the rest of you who are still remaining with us for the full duration of the committee hearing, thank you as well for your participation this morning. I know it's not easy taking time out of everyone's schedules, especially with all of the accommodations that need to be made relative to COVID lately. But this committee in particular, and I know the full board as well, appreciates you taking the time to meet with us this morning, discuss your backgrounds, and submit yourself for questions from the board, which is never an easy experience. As some of you are very well familiar, that can get somewhat cantankerous at times, but it's all for love and betterment of the city as a whole. And so we certainly appreciate all of you taking that time and opportunity this morning. There are no other agenda items on the calendar for today. So I do know that from the last meeting, I believe it was the last meeting we had, it might have been the meeting before that, Director Hagley did send the items over for fiscal year 21 with respect to parks funding. It's my intent to hopefully get that out to you, the full board, not just the committee, this week, so that you all will have the opportunity to allow Director Hagley any projects that you all are working on in your ward and submit that for funding for the parks funding for fiscal year 2021. So again, I'm hoping to get that out this week to the full board, and hopefully we'll be able to put those resolutions together and have them ready for our April meeting when we resume as a full board. Any questions or comments or concerns about that in particular? Commissioner Hayes, I see you unmuted yourself. So I'm not sure if that was to speak on this matter in particular. I know you're not a member of the committee, but I want to afford you the opportunity if you do have any questions or comments.
Sure. Chairman, there have been a lot of thanks going around in this meeting, and I don't want to be trite, but I want to thank you personally. I did not ask for this to be an urgent matter, but you scheduled this when you're out of session with the other folks. I want to thank your fellow alderwomen and aldermen for taking time to do this when you're out of session. And I also want to thank everyone all the nominees for your time as well. It's an understatement to say I feel fortunate to work with everyone on this call. I really do. This is a great board. I look forward to going to the meetings on a monthly basis. I make the vast majority of them. And it's a privilege to work with the Parks and Environmental Committee as well. And the last comment I'll make is, Sharita, you'll always be younger than I am. So happy birthday in advance. I hope you have a great day. But no, this has been a great meeting, and I was really happy to see it get scheduled when you certainly didn't have to do that for us. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, are there any questions relative to the parks funding resolutions or anything else? All right, hearing and seeing none, I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you all for your time this morning. Enjoy the rest of the day.
You too. Be safe out there, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.